Welcome, everyone. This is Wendy Castle, owner and dietitian at One Bite Nutrition. I'm here with Nikki Bomar, one of our amazing dietitians that we have. And I just wanted to take a moment to kind of go over what a visit with a One Bite dietitian looks like. This video is going to be a little bit different than our usual content, but I think people might be nervous, talking with a dietitian or, kind of like when you go to the doctor's office, some people get nervous about that. And maybe knowing what you're going to be receiving from us or on our end can help you look forward to your visit. So Nikki, what are some of the things that, a patient or a client could look forward to when they book with us?
Yeah, so the first thing that I like is that we have a few different ways that you can schedule your appointment. You can go directly to our website and book under the services tab. Now, this side will require you to know which dietitian you'd like to see, which we all have our profiles up on our About page. You can kind of look and see if there's a specific person you would like to see. But if you're not sure who you would like to see, you can, reach out via phone or email, and we can match you with a dietitian that we feel best meets your needs. I think that's one of the best things about working with like a team of dietitians is if I don't feel comfortable seeing someone or it's out of my scope of practice, I can pass it on to somebody who I know would really thrive with this patient.
Yeah, absolutely. When somebody calls me and they're asking for an appointment, the first thing I ask is, what are you wanting to be seen for? Because, like one of our dietitians, Sarah, she specializes in eating disorders. She's really, really good with that, or SIBO. She'll do SIBO too. But I won't touch eating disorders. I'm not specialized in that. That's just not my wheelhouse. There's other qualified professionals on our team to see that person. But for instance, for diabetes, like I'm a diabetes care and education specialist, I'll see a lot of patients with diabetes, particularly if they have advanced needs. They're on insulin, they're a new insulin start, they have a CGM or an insulin pump, some of those, things that aren't just like basic diabetes nutrition education. And Nikki is amazing with kids. Oh my gosh. She sees many patients, but she is just stellar with children. But she sees an array of different patients. So yeah, just reach out if you're not sure what dietitian you want to see, and we'll match you with one of the dietitians that we feel will best fit your needs. Another thing that plays a role is schedule. Um, Sarah's got some limited availability. I have gotten a little bit better about setting boundaries and like I don't have nighttime hours, I don't have weekend hours, but Nikki likes to work nights and weekends sometimes. So, like trying to meet the availability that matches your schedule can sometimes direct who you're going to be seeing as well. So, what if a patient has insurance? Like, do you want to talk about insurance and all of that?
Yeah, so we have some info on insurance on our services page as well, but I always encourage patients to reach out directly to their insurance to check coverage. You may have a copay or you might not have the required diagnosis to see for let them to cover it. That doesn't mean we can't see you. It just means insurance might not cover it. So I'm always going to let if sessions we don't think they will be covered. We have, certain insurances have specific rules, but then other insurances, it really just plan dependent. So we do have an insurance FAQ on our page as well. Again, always good to see that. So I'll usually send that over to you if I talk to you and you want to do that or are someone interested in that. That way you have it. It can be an easy, 10-minute phone call, hopefully. Easy phone call for you. I just really, the last thing I want is people to be stuck with, unexpected bills.
Absolutely. That's the one thing that we don't want for our patients is, kind of the model we follow is continued care. I typically don't do a lot of one and done appointments. Usually I see our patients for as long as they need, as often as they need. I've got patients I've been seeing over 3 years. And it's really because people are not linear. And so we kind of have ebbs and flows in our life. And having that accountability is helpful for a lot of people during their health journey. Once we conquer one goal, they might have two, three, four, five more goals that they want to reach. And so then we'll transition into a next one. Um, I do a lot of our insurance billing, all of our insurance billing. We'll go with that. And I would say 99% of our patients don't have to pay. They don't have a copay. We bill under preventative services. Some insurances have a restriction on how many visits they have, but a lot of them don't. So don't assume that you're going to get, a big bill and all these copays and stuff like that. I would say 99% of our patients don't pay anything to see us, and we see them quite often. I can give you general guidelines based on the insurance company, but again, every policy is individual dependent. So, Nikki's Blue Cross Blue Shield policy is going to look different than my Blue Cross and Blue Shield policy, and it's going to look different than yours. Um, so, although I can give you that general guidance of how it typically works, it is most definitely very important for you to call your insurance company to discuss your specific plan. Now, if there's something, sometimes things are misquoted, and if it kind of sounds wonky, like I'll let you know, like we've never had a problem with this before, and I'll work with you if something happens. But yeah, so most patients don't have copays, can see dietitians very frequently with no cost share to them. So, okay, we've got, we're on the website, we're looking for a practitioner, we kind of figured out who we want to book with. We talked to our insurance company, everything's a green light there. What happens next?
Yeah. So then again, you can either schedule directly on our page or you can message one of us. We'll schedule you. It usually takes 5 minutes or less phone call unless we really have more stuff to talk about. Like let's say you are like a parent looking for your kiddo. I usually want to talk to you a little bit longer, than if I'm just talking to you just to get our whole story there. Kiddos can be a little difficult sometimes. We all know that. But right, so we get you scheduled. Okay, you're scheduled. Then we're going to send you 4 forms through our system. We use a system called Practice Better. And we have 4 forms. 3 of them are your classic, like doctor's office forms, like HIPAA, insurance, that sort of, not fun stuff. That 4th form is going to cover all of your basic health and nutrition items. It's going to give us a really good insight on what's going on. And we always ask that you have those all 4 filled out at least 24 hours prior to your appointment. That just gives us time to go through them, see what's going on. I go ahead and draft my notes from there. Any questions I have, I make sure to note about it. Um, and then, of course, I always tell my patients, if I'm on the phone with you, I'm like, okay, here's your question or here's your forms. If you have any questions on them, text me, call me. Totally fine. Right, I would rather have those filled out, way in advance, and any troubles we have with them we can fix prior to the appointment, then get to the appointment time. If it's an hour, 30 minutes before, I still don't have those forms filled out, our hands get tied a little bit. Um, but yeah, so we will schedule you, fill out your forms, and then it's time for your appointment. All
Yeah.
right, so for me, I always start by explaining how I run appointments. So any housekeeping task, seeing if you have any questions before we get started. I always go ahead and review that initial intake form or nutrition intake form, and then ask questions expanding off of those topics. Then we'll do like a detailed recall for a typical day for you. And from there, that's where so I don't just like throw a bunch of information at you. I use your recall info and your intake info, and then I'll, throw little bits of information at you at a time versus kind of overloading you all at one time. And then of course for me, we will look at all of that info that we see, recognize some areas of improvement, and set our action plan goals from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of going back to, the forms and kind of the housekeeping stuff. Our electronic medical records called Practice Better, like Nikki mentioned, it is HIPAA compliant. So everything in there has special security levels to allow it to be HIPAA compliant. And there is a chat feature in that portal. So you can message your dietitian from that portal patient sensitive information. If it's, I'm going to be 5 minutes late to my appointment, or can I reschedule? You're more than welcome to text us or email us. But if it's patient specific information, please use the chat feature in the portal so that your privacy is protected. Same thing with documents. You can upload labs there. You can upload referrals from your doctor. You can upload journals if you do paper journals. Another cool thing about our EMR is it has like a logging feature, and we see that. We get alerts every time somebody logs, and we can check, and day by day we can go through, oh hey, try to pair protein with this, adding peanuts would have been a great idea, or talking to the patient and guiding them. So even though you might have an appointment every week or 2 weeks or every month or whatever your schedule is, we can kind of guide you along the way so we're not losing progress in that period of time. And I'm glad you mentioned the forms. So I hate paperwork just as much as the next person. Trust me. I mean, I feel like half my job or more is doing paperwork. But I'm like you. I have a little sticky note or I use a note card and I write notes about my patient before I meet with them. So if they say I'm going on vacation, I need trip ideas, I can look that up and kind of be prepared for our session.
Mhm.
If they say, I've been struggling with constipation, I'm on a new GLP-1 and I need help, I can get all of that prepared because I've been meeting with that person and I know what they like. So it's really helpful to have that paperwork filled out so that our time with you face to face is more productive. We're able to help you out more knowing what's going into it. And yeah, so appointments, to kind of follow up on that, appointment times vary based on the patient. I would say in most cases, a new appointment is an hour to an hour and a half. A follow-up appointment's 30 minutes to an hour. And that's just a general kind of detail. How often appointments are, it depends on the patient. Some people require weekly. Like if, say they have an eating disorder and they're really struggling, maybe they need a lot of touch points. Or if my patient just started insulin, I want to talk to you in a week. Like we need to figure this out. We can't go longer than that. You could be having lows, you could be running too high. Like we need to talk often. But if I've been seeing you for 3 years and we're just checking in to make sure that we're not, kind of going back to old habits, maybe we only meet every 2 weeks or every month. Um, I have a few patients that, again, I've been seeing for years, and I might see them every quarter just because, hey, we need to check in. They saw their doc 3 months ago. Let's see if your A1C changed. So, yeah, the timing of appointments is variable based on the person, their individual needs at that specific time. The people I see every 3 months, if they're going through something, maybe we touch base more often until they're over that. So, yeah, appointment frequency is really guided by the patient and the patient's needs. Um, so, Nikki, if you could explain anything special you do for your appointments or anything else you'd like to add in regards to that.
Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of note what you said too of our system is very all in one, and I really do like it in that aspect.
Mhm.
Um, so I think I mean with any system we have our complaints, but I really do like that. Okay, my patients can log their food. Again, I usually see patients every 2 weeks is my typical, again, very dependent, but typically that's when I see people. Um, so like I can talk to my patients, through that messaging feature. Okay, I know, patient X, their goal is to lower their fat intake. How can we do that? Okay, I see a random day that looks great. I'm gonna note that on there so that they can see, okay, I, don't see her for another, 10 days, but this is a good day. This looks good nutritionally, balance wise throughout the day, anything like that. You get that not constant but consistent feedback between appointments is really needed for a lot of people. And I know that a lot of people don't want to see like, okay, well, 2 weeks sounds, really soon. How am I supposed to accomplish these things in 2 weeks? I never expect you to come back in exactly 2 weeks. Perfect. I'm meeting my goals. We're wonderful, right? The point of that consistent, follow up is to see how are things going? What's working? What's not working? If it's not working, how can I change it to help it work or try it to work differently? So again, it's very dependent. We can go over here's exactly how your appointment's going to go, but it's so dependent on you and what your goals are, what's going on for you, your schedule, all of those things that, right, we're not going to throw like a cookie cutter plan at you.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I'm glad that you mentioned, the follow-up appointments based on need. And not assuming or, making them feel like they're defeated if they didn't meet goals. We don't expect you to meet goals right away. And when I speak with my patients, like we could have the same goal for 3, 4, 5, as many visits as we need, and we just tailor it until it's met. And if it's like a scratch goal, like, okay, I wanted to do this, but this is just not going to work in my life, then we just scratch it and we start over. In all honesty, it takes 4 to 6 weeks to like change a behavior. So we don't expect it to change right away. But studies have also shown that if you don't have touch points at least every 2 weeks, the accountability aspect of it and the follow through is like the outcomes go down. So if you look at our percent outcomes and improvement in patients, if we don't see them at least every 2 weeks, our outcomes look not as good. But if we have that frequent touch point, we know our outcomes work. And so, yeah, so that's kind of the rationale behind that. We all have busy lives. We get that. And, we're not just seeing patients to see them. There is some evidence behind why we pick that rotation. But again, it's very individualized, and meeting that person where they're at. So, yeah, so if you have any further questions that maybe we didn't cover in this session about making an appointment or seeing a dietitian, please reach out. Again, just like Nikki said, you can book direct on onebitenutrition.com. You can call, our main line is 573-836-2866. Feel free to call that. Please don't text personal information. I'm happy to talk to you about appointments and things like that, but if it's something you don't want shared, don't text it until you get on the portal and you have that HIPAA compliant feature. One last thing before we go, just a reminder, our appointments are usually video conferencing, so they're face to face. On certain occasions, we will do phone calls if, a patient can't do that at the time or whatever. And that's all through the portal. So we don't have a separate section. When you go into your Practice Better portal, you just hit start session. It's like a little button with a little video camera looking thing. And you just go face to face through that. And so it's very seamless. You don't have to download Zoom or any of these extraneous apps. It's just all through the medical record. So, yeah, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to help you, get you started with one of our dietitians and get you closer to meeting your health goals your way.